How can government help in creating entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurship is one of the most challenging personality types in the world. Such people struggle working for others, question academics and professional programs and process, and always see gaps in the market where things can be improved. So, how could government foster more of that? Make it easier. Reduce small business tax and hiring requirements. Enable entrepreneurs to alleviate those costs, risks, until they can afford them. Reduce or eliminate minimum wage requirements. I'm aware of thousands of jobs that new business and startups need done. That could help them succeed, but they won't hire them at $10 per hour, or whatever it is now. It's not a question of should those jobs and people be paid well. Entrepreneurs shoulder the cost of new ventures. If they can't afford the wage, there is no job. There is no value created. Create a healthcare plan that's stupidly affordable for companies less than 2 years old. Put economic development funds into incubators. Cities and states often try to play investor. Stop. Put it where people who know what they're doing can help others in the private sector do what they do best. Minimize licenses and permits on new businesses, at least for the first year of business. Stop trying to develop technology within government. Every city with which I've worked is consider hiring for the development of their own tools. Every such consideration is driven by ignorance that such tools already exist or a political pressure that things should be done locally. We can't buy that, says the city, that was built in another city. This wastes money and talent for the sake of the illusion of supporting the local workforce. All of that could be summed up thusly: get out of the way. But in lieu of that, minimize as much as possible the hurdles that are in place because of government. The job of government is to build and maintain a foundation that supports entrepreneurship. Education. A key to any successful business, especially a startup, is to be able to hire qualified employees. A startup has little time, funds and ability to train people. Education is a public function and therefore government needs to fund and maintain the best possible schools from preschool through college and graduate schools. Public education needs to include a strong vocational education program and retraining of employees when we have rapid economic changes. Science and basic research. Startups and entrepreneurs cannot raise money to do basic scientific research and train scientists. The role of entrepreneurs and startups is to apply knowledge and science from education and research institutions to products and services that people want to buy. Figure out better ways to do things. Oversee a stable financial system with fair access to capital. If you look back in history, it is a constant set of recessions, depressions, bank failures and worse. It is only in modern times that we have improved and stabilized financial institutions. The Great Recession and financial meltdown of 2007 proves we still have not perfected the system. Entrepreneurs will thrive in a stable financial world, one without runaway inflation, deflation and runs on banks. Yes, this means we must regulate banks and other financial institutions. Banks must not be allowed to discriminate in lending practices, as this will prevent startups and small businesses from growing. The reason we have a federal farm credit system, the Small Business Administration financial programs and many state lending programs is the propensity of established banks to only lend to big established corporations and to export U.S. deposits to foreign loans. Preserve a free market with competition by having a robust antitrust law and enforcement. The natural tendency is for every company to want to eliminate competition and have a monopoly. New companies will not start up in an economy dominated by monopolies and oligopolies, as well as anti-competitive practices. Lack of competition in any market sector will stifle innovation and artificially raise prices. The goal is to have a level playing field that allows new entrants to the marketplace. After that, governments needs to get out of the way and not pick winners and losers. Companies will go out of business for many reasons, and we need to let that process happen. These and other foundations need to be viewed with global goggles. Other countries are upping the ante on education and research. Germany is a good example of how they have maintained their manufacturing jobs and firms. In a global economy, each country needs to change, adapt and keep up. If they were asked to do this, governments would find a way to say, it can be done, because they know of the entrenched bureaucracy they administer. For instance, the first thing senior public servants would ask the government for is a new department just to administer entrepreneurship, and then there would be a monumental cost blowout that would entail more regulation and stifling rules and new taxes, so simple and the whole thing will become unworkable. Just read Parkinson's law on bureaucracy and you have it in a nutshell, and as a bureaucracy grows so does the socialistic cancers spreads it reach via unions and Marxists just like night and day. You don't need a Ph.D. to work out the repression by bureaucracy of the masses.